Thank you for the welcome to Jordan, and I wanted to say thank you to the Arab Advisors Group for inviting me here to moderate this distinguished panel. It's always a pleasure to be back in your country, where I made my first trip to the Middle East about 10 years ago, and where I've met so many wonderful entrepreneurs and found such hospitality. In case you don't know me, I have a blog on Forbes that focuses on entrepreneurs in the Middle East. I often get asked why a business journalist from the US would decide to focus on the Middle East on Forbes. As a journalist, it's because I look for challenges and stories that haven't been told, and good stories about the region and good stories about business in the region are not often told in the United States. So that's what motivates me to travel here. I've come here about 15 times in the past 2 years, learning about the region. On this panel, our task is to discuss how technology can help develop economies. This is a question that is preoccupying many countries and regions around the world. I met 2 of the distinguished panelists last night and the others this morning. Am I buzzing here? I hear something, but I'm going to sit down in a minute. I know that my task is going to be to hold them to their 2 or 3 minute window to speak. Businessmen all over the world like to talk a lot, so forgive me for being very strict on the time. And I want to just briefly introduce everyone on the panel. I think most people in the room already know them. But first we have Emil Kubaisi, who is the General Manager of Healthcare Solutions. And it's here in the list, but actually if you could maybe... Yeah. When I was looking at the bio, I thought this is not exactly what I heard last night. Maybe if you could just mention also your role as in the venture capital community, because I don't have the names of the organization. Can you just say where you're from as well? Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah.
So my name is Emil Kubaisi. I manage a venture fund which is focused predominantly on Jordan and Egypt as well, called Badia Impact Fund. It's part of a larger investment group that's been focusing on technology in the region for the last 15 years, called Accelerator Technology Holdings.
And Marwan Juma, forgive my pronunciation of Arabic words as well, who is the founder and chairman of the board of KINS for Information Technology, the country's leading corporate data provider. That's right. Good, okay. And he was also the country's Minister of Information, of Communications and Information Technology from December 2009 to 2011. Ambassador Karim Kawar, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Dubai a couple of months ago, and is an entrepreneur and angel investor. And I know from our conversation there, has a company that works on iris technology, so I hope we can talk about that a little bit more. And the former Jordanian ambassador to the US between 2002 and 2007. And finally, Hala Zawati, I just had the pleasure of meeting. Currently the CEO of the Jordan Strategy Forum, a not-for-profit organization that represents 66 of the largest private sector companies in Jordan. So this is our panel today. We're going to talk for about 20 or 30 minutes and then open it up to the audience. We're also going to ask a question after we finish talking that everyone in the audience will have a chance to answer. It's sort of an impromptu poll. And with that, I'm going to take a seat and we'll just start talking. This is on? Okay, great. So I always think that the most important goal for any panel is to come out with concrete ideas. It's very easy to sit around in a panel discussion and talk about ideas and never concrete steps. So I wanted to get right into that and ask the panel and ask each person on the panel for a 2 or 3 minute response on the question of where you see the opportunities for growth coming from IT in Jordan's economy. And I know that this is a fairly well-developed sector, or that it's come a long way in the past 10 years. I learned last night that right now it represents about $2 billion to the Jordanian economy, directly employs about 16,000 people, and indirectly supports about 70,000. So that's a good foundation to build on. Where do you see the opportunities for growth next? Paula, ladies first.
Though I might have preferred that the ICT people speak first so that I bring in the other sectors like type of opportunities. I would like to build on the challenges that Jordan is facing today. We are facing many challenges, and I believe that opportunities come out of challenges. One of the challenges is the women in the workforce. And in Jordan, unfortunately, only 12.6% of the women who are eligible to work are joining the workforce. We have a slide. That means that 1 out of 8 women are in the workforce, while 3 out of 5 men are joining the workforce. And we calculated at the Jordan Strategy Forum the lost opportunity for the economy, and it was $11 billion a year. And I do believe that the ICT sector is key in this regard, because it's very easy for women to work from home and add to these numbers. I do believe there is a great opportunity to face this challenge by integrating more women. Since I have 3 minutes, so I have to go quickly over the opportunities. The other opportunity, which is also a challenge in Jordan, is energy. We import 98% of our energy, and recently we've been dealing with renewable energy and talking about energy efficiency. All this, whether it's energy efficiency, which requires delicate sensors and the integration of communication technology, can present a great opportunity. In addition, renewable energy and smart cities, smart grids, we haven't done that in Jordan yet, and I believe it's a great opportunity. Last opportunity, we all know of the challenge we're facing with the Syrian refugees in Jordan. And it's straining many of, say, either our resources or the services. In Jordan, our schools today are being strained, and also our hospitals. If you look at the slide we're showing, it says that 130,000 Syrian students joined or came to Jordan. Only half of them today are in schools, and to adapt for the 50% of these students, we're having 2 shifts. Again, 70,000 of these students are not in schools. Again, this is a great opportunity for the ICT sector via e-learning and e-education. I hope I did not exceed my 3 minutes.
Maybe everyone can. I think we should just go in order. Yeah.
Just very quickly, and for those of you who know me, know that I can't really, I tend to have a habit of speaking too much, so I give Marwan permission to smack me if I go over time. But look, I mean, when I look at the region and when I look at the opportunity for Jordan, you know, opportunity to me is defined by what problems we need to fix and we have to fix. And you know, in reality, there's a countless amount of problems that needs to be fixed in this region. And convergence, in any way we define it, you know, convergence of us with technology, with opportunity, with connectivity, with infrastructure, are sitting, I would say, probably on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fix it, right? If the ecosystem, the environment, and our own will and our guts allows us to do so. So in terms of opportunity, wherever you look, we're way behind every single metric, whether you're talking about e-commerce, whether you're talking about access to financial services, whether you're talking about healthcare, anything you look at, we're way behind global averages. And if we're going to assume that we're going to develop just like everywhere else, just in terms of our consumption, right, there's significant opportunity. And that's apart from the fact that we're going to be building whole new cities, we're going to be building whole new infrastructure, Everything needs to be rebuilt. So I really think from that perspective, it's the golden era of entrepreneurship if we take advantage of it, or it'll be the monumental lost opportunity if we don't take advantage of it. Now, in terms of being specific, I look at it in two ways. I look at innovation and imagination, and it's a delicate balance between the two. On the innovation side, we see that Jordan historically has been very strong in certain key sectors. Most specifically for me is healthcare, financial services, and education. Here, there's a real opportunity to leverage capability, brand in the country, and opportunity to drive this forward. On the imagination side, I think we've got to dare to dream big. We've got to dare to dream local to global. And I just saw Yusuf Wadi there as an example with Arabia Weather. Building weather prediction technology that's not just useful for the region, it's also useful for the rest of the world, because we're providing solutions to our own types of problems to make things happen. So I think the opportunity is great. I think it's much more sizable than our response towards that opportunity, and I hope we dig up some stuff that helps us figure that out.
Thanks, Emil, and good morning, everyone. Mabruk on new post again, Emil. Following Hala and Emil is very difficult. They pretty much covered everything. I don't want to repeat what they said, but I do agree with everything you said. I think clearly it's where the challenges are, where the opportunities lie. When it comes to healthcare, renewables, but a lot of the new opportunities will be defined as we speak, the new opportunities. We still don't know them because technology is changing as we speak, and it's changing the way we do business, it's changing traditional jobs, so maybe the new opportunities are just still being defined as we speak, so we have to wait and see. What I'm seeing though is a lot of the new entrepreneurs don't even look at our region as a potential audience or potential marketplace. You mentioned Arabia Weather and others look beyond because problems lie everywhere. And the fact that everything is opening up, that mobile computing and that everything is opening up, it means you can address a problem anywhere in the world. So the new generation entrepreneurs don't necessarily even look at our region. They look beyond, and we need that. We need people to look beyond the region. But at the same time, that makes it a huge challenge that the ecosystem, as Emil mentioned, is up to par, if not better than everyone around us. And that we have to realize that competition is not regional. It's way beyond. It's to our west directly and beyond. That's where the competition lies. And we talked last night about the most important ingredient for us to compete at the high end of the value chain and to focus on this real IP, education becomes very, very important. And I do not sound controversial, but to address one of the key issues we have here in Jordan, and you all know, I'm preaching to the choir, we do have an issue when it comes to the quality of education in terms of volume and quality to address many of these potential problems. So that's one thing we have to focus on is education. I think opportunity is amazing for today's entrepreneurs. We didn't have that 5-6 years ago. To invest, to grow regionally or globally, you have to be physically there. Nowadays, you don't have to be. You develop an app or a solution that can reach anyone, anywhere. But also means that you're competing against the very best all over the world, basically.
Well, first, it's a great honor and privilege to be with such a distinguished gathering this morning. And thank you, Elizabeth, for posing those questions. As mentioned earlier, Jordan probably got its act together in 1999-2000 when we put together the REACH initiative under His Majesty's directions. And today we're looking at REACH 2025 of where we will be in the next 9 years. It's interesting, since we're talking about the digital economy, that today when we look at the S&P 500 as an index, back in 1957, the average age of a company in the S&P 500 was 75 years old. Today, it's less than 10 years old. So younger companies are rising to take on the bigger role in representing the digital economy, and that's impactful. And we are yet to see this in the Arab region, which I think is the focus of this event. One area that I believe is a big drawback is financial inclusion. Today, when you look at the number of bank account holders who are 15 years and older, in the OECD countries, it's 94%. In the Middle East, it's 14%. In Jordan, it's 25%. So there's a large part of participants in the economy that are excluded from the financial system, and therefore that's a limitation to their participation in the economy. I'm proud to be the chairman of an Anglo-Jordanian company, IrisGuard, that has developed iris recognition technology that's now helping the Syrian refugees who are getting registered by UNHCR, who can go to an ATM machine without having a bank account, without a card, without a PIN. Just with their eyes, they can withdraw their cash assistance. This is significant technology that's actually largely developed out of Jordan that's helping in that respect. Today, with the World Food Program, it's being extended into supermarkets where the refugees can buy their foodstuffs at the cash register, pay with their eyes from the World Food Program account. This is the first in the world that hopefully will help those Syrian refugees who unfortunately will be staying on average 17 to 20 years in the host country, such as Jordan. And we have to also seize that opportunity, how they can be effective participants in our economy rather than a burden on this country.
Thank you. Thanks for all those thoughtful answers. I wanted to add one thing to what Hala said, which is, you know, the question about women's inclusion into the world economy, I feel like doesn't get enough attention. I think that's partly because men worry it's a zero-sum game and that women will take the jobs which we don't have enough of. But I just wanted to add one statistic which gives some perspective, which is that Janet Yellen, who's the chairman of our Federal Reserve, has estimated that the entire productivity gains in the U.S. economy from the 1970s to today came from women entering the workforce. So I think that it is actually a huge challenge there. I don't think it's a zero-sum game, and I think that's where a lot of economic growth to produce jobs can come from. But to get a little bit more concrete, I'm hoping that each of our panelists will share with us one success story of a company from Jordan, or maybe just a person from Jordan, that can be an example of how you think IT could move the economy forward. You wanna, maybe we'll start at the end with Kareem. Go the other way.
Certainly, and I think the e-commerce area is the low-hanging fruit where Jordanian companies have excelled. One in particular that I'm affiliated with is Marca VIP, a company that started probably 5 years ago from a small setup in Bayad al-Wadi Sir that now employs over 500 people across the region. And certainly they have been delivering, they reinvented cash on delivery just because those who are not included in the financial system, who do not want to use their credit cards or payment online, still resort to using cash on delivery, and now others have followed suit. But I think the important aspect of it is finding inefficiencies in that trading model and try to enhance it, try to provide quality products at low prices that people can afford, but also giving shoppers in the Arab world the options that they are looking for. So this is one great successful story and of many others that have sprung out of Jordan.
So Kareem, if you were starting a company now, would it be in e-commerce?
I believe e-commerce, there are, of course, many opportunities to cater to different market segments. And, again, if we go back to women who are, I believe, big contributors to our economy through their shopping experiences, I think there's a lot to be done there, certainly to cater to different tastes that are not necessarily addressed by the global e-commerce companies. I think, if we go on Alibaba, it's not necessarily catering to the consumers in this particular region, and I think there are lots of opportunities there to grasp.
Marwan?
That's a difficult question, by the way, just to pick one, because there are just many examples. Just looking the whole as an example, Arabia Weather as one example has done a fantastic work in Jordan, in the region, I look to my right. I'm a bit biased towards Kareem because Kareem was the guy who dragged me to this industry back in 1990. So it's his fault, basically. I apologize, it's his fault.
I heard last night about Kareem's email
Yeah,
address.
Kareem had an email address back in 1987, ITU0115. I always remember that, back in 87. Talk about pioneering days. So what Iris God is doing is really fantastic. And Iris Breakthrough, the fact that you're applying, there's commercial application to Iris recognition is the first in the world. And that's why Jordanians, we shouldn't be limited by our region, by our thinking. I think we can definitely compete at a global scale. One company I think I want to share as an example why it's important, and Arab Nasser Saleh is Madfu'atkum, as many of you know, which is the payment gateway that we use, Jordanians use, and I've heard that that over 1 million transactions have taken place over Madfu'atkum since their inception. The reason why they're successful is one important point is because the government embraced them and supported them. The central bank governor, who's very visionary and who believes in the local industry, said that local payments will be made through this gateway. And that's what happens when you have the government supporting and believing in the local industry. That's one way we can grow. We've seen examples, unfortunately, where sometimes the government fights the local industry, that puts it aside, and that hinders our growth. So I think an example of there's real IP, and I'm a bit biased with Madfu'atkum because one of the Oasis companies one of our incubatees, so we're a bit biased towards them as well. But they have real IP, they've taken on a challenge, but the government supported them and are helping them grow. That's very important. We need that in our region, the public-private partnership to be real and not just talk.
And where would you start a company if you were starting it today?
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I will still do it here because if you can, and I always say it, and a lot of my clients are looking at me and laughing here. Why would I do it here? This is a difficult market, to be honest, and this is a small market. It's a demanding market. It's very price sensitive. But if you can, and I always say, if you can make money legally and ethically by creating products in Jordan, then you can definitely penetrate anywhere else. So, but this should be a testing market. Try it here quickly and move abroad. Don't get stuck here. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting question, and I think I agree with all that Marwan and Kareem said. I do think, you know, anybody that wakes up, takes on the risk, goes out there, opens his doors to build a tech venture in our region and specifically in Jordan is in many ways a success story in my mind. And then you sit and you quantify what does success mean, because I mean success is has a wide definition. To me, if I look at success and if I define success as not where they are today, but really what their potential is tomorrow, I mean I would use as another example I would use mixed dimensions. Two outstanding young entrepreneurs built their venture out of graduated from Jordanian universities. Built their venture out of iPark. It took 3 years to figure out what the heck they were doing. So they're building the PostScript for 3D printers, and then gravitating all the way through to raising a proper Series A in the United States. They raised $4 million from top 3D printing investors in the ecosystem. Have a solid front-end opportunity directly targeting the U.S. industry, while at the same time continuously growing their presence in Jordan, and not just continuously growing their presence in Jordan. I think they're at the scale now where they'll train over 1,000 Jordanians in 3D printing technologies this year, just as a support service to them growing their own business. To me, that kind of supply chain, which you're going from a local university, local school to local university, to getting support from local angels, to getting support from a local VC, to propelling yourself and challenging yourself to take on the world, getting the validation in the world. Where they go, what happens a year from now, 3 years from now from MXD, none of us know. But to me, that spirit, I think, is the spirit that we need and the spirit that I define of as success.
Well, after all of you, of course, I've had some companies in mind. Again, to what Emil said, what is success? For us at the Jordan Strategy Forum, all those companies who are successful, those who are profitable, scalable, exporting products, helping our GDP, those who are creating jobs and are socially responsible. Let me get out of the IT and the typical telecom sector, and I would like to pinpoint Crystal Coal, a Jordanian company that was started by young entrepreneurs, and today they're employing over 600 employees, profitable, exporting it's a call center, and exporting services out of Jordan. And it is very important today to pinpoint also another challenge Jordan is facing with exporting, and that is the closure of our borders in the north and in the east. And with such services that we don't even have to cross borders, I think it's a great success, and I would pinpoint that as a success story. And Zina Majali, one of the founders, is here also.